while I'm doing it and say hello. Thank you, Patrick. If you want to join me in these words of strength and might, I'm on page 647. Jeff, I think I saw you at the airport last night. Were you getting out of O'Hare last night? Yeah, I saw you, and I didn't have time to say hi because I was in a cab, but I saw you. 647. Yeah. Ozi, Maziratya, Vayehi, Yeshua. Ozi, Maziratya, Vayehi, Yeshua. Ozi, Maziratya. Vayehi Yeshua, Ozi Bezimratya, Vayehi Yeshua, Ozi Bezimratya, Vayehi
The word "and" holds so much power and importance today. "And" helps us describe how we're feeling, and helps us make sense of the world, and helps us with nuance. As in, I care deeply and am so saddened about the 240 hostages taken by Hamas, and I care deeply about the innocent Palestinians just trying to live their lives, and holds so much importance in these phrases. I'm looking forward to next week's holding of thanks and anticipating holding some sadness too next week. In this next week, until our next Shabbat, we honor both the Trans Day of Remembrance, remembering all those lives lost due to violence against trans folks, and next week we gather with friends and family for giving thanks. Being focused on the "and" can help us process the complicated feelings and the experiences that we're having. Because tonight we can be both saddened by the world and uplifted by Shabbat. We can hold two things at once, and we often do. We can do both. We will do both. We are so much a people of "and" that as we invite up Stacy Reeser, Althea Reeser, and Shale Reeser in honor of Shale's bar mitzvah, we're gonna light two candles. And those two candles are Shamor V'Zachor. Going up. Literally remember and observe. The ways that we remember and observe, the ways that we do and are so important to our lives. Hi, Althea.
Oh my goodness, you called it. Okay, perfect. Come, sweetie. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu you're not.
Theme of and means that, Shale, you are also leading us in Kiddush. We're on page 120 as we rise in body or in spirit. 123, excuse me.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam kishani b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinkilanu zikaron lamaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehila lamikra'e kodesh zecher liaf mitzrayim kivanu vaharta otanu kidashta mikol chamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen.
L'chaim.
L'chaim. The finest of grape juices. We may be seated.
Shale, I'm proud of you. That was awesome.
On page 138, we find Lecha Dodi welcoming us, inviting us to imagine that we're at a wedding between Shabbat and the world, a moment where we get to celebrate being together for this special time. So when we do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, on that last verse, verse 9, we will rise and we will face the entrance as if we are greeting the Sabbath bride down the aisle.
לקראת כלה, בני שבת, נקבלה לך דודי. לקראת כלה, בני שבת, נקבלה, שמור וזכור ודיבור אחד. ישמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. לשם ותפארת ולתהילה, לך דודי. לקראת כלה, בני שבת, נקבלה, לך דודי. לקראת כלה, בני שבת, נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונכון, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי. לקראת כלה, בני שבת, נקבלה, לך דודי. לקראת כלה, בני שבת, נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומאורי, אורי, אורי, שיר דברי. כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי. לקראת כלה, בני שבת, נקבלה, לך דודי. לקראת כלה, בני שבת, נקבלה.
We rise and we face down the entrance.
בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך בוני ים סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי. לקראת כלה, בני שבת, נקבלה, לך דודי. לקראת כלה, בני Shabbat mikol
We may be seated. As we turn to page 142, we find Shalom Aleichem welcoming those angels that are with us during Shabbat.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Lachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Teitem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
As we ended with the word Baruch Hu, blessed are you, Adonai, our God. On that same word, on page 146, we rise.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam
Page 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
We may be seated.
Yahavta.
Et Adonai Elohecha,
You know this one.
b'chol
B'chol
levacha
levacha
u'b'chol
ובכל
nafshecha,
נפשך
ובכל
ובכל מאודיך
והיו
הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים Ani Adonai Elohechem.
On page 157, at the top of the page, let us pray together in the English, leading into our Micha Mocha. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
Lai 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 la lai 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 mi hamdu khamai madunai mi hamdu khamne dar bakonash noratihi lo tosefele noratihi lo tosefele malchut chara uvanecha ukei ayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam zeli anu ve'amru zeli anu ve'amru Adonai imo leolam va'ed Adonai imo leolam va'ed lai 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 lai
Our next prayer, the Hashkivenu, are some of our greatest Jewish scholars of the Talmud, talking 200 of the Common Era, already had trouble with where this one exactly is. You see, they loved the idea of going from lai, 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 micha, mocha, and redemption into the Amidah and bringing that energy. But already in their prayer book was the Hashkivenu right here in between the two. And they were like, this one's a little more quiet. This one's a little more help me to go to sleep at night, help me to be safe as I sleep at night. A little more of a lullaby. And so they talked about these two in really beautiful opposition to each other. Going from that joy of redemption to that lullaby of peace, that we recognize that many, many, many years ago, we were redeemed from Egypt and given freedom. But it is each and every day we are given the freedom to wake up, to live our lives, to go about our days. And so we acknowledge all of that in our Hashkivenu on page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomeinu l'chaim l'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomeinu l'chaim l'chaim ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha ufros aleinu
We bring both that joy and uplifting of the Michamocha and that peaceful lullaby to our Amidah, page 164, as we rise.
Sifatai tiftach Ufi agi tehilatecha Adonai sifatai tiftach Ufi agi tehilatecha Adonai sifatai tiftach Ufi agi tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'konei Hakol Bezocher Chasei Avot V'imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye Hakol Atah Rav Hoshia Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem Mechalkel Chaim V'Chesed Somech Noflim V'Rofeh Cholim U'Matir Hasurim U'Mekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michal Mocha Bal Gevurot U'Mido Melach Melech Memit U'Mechayeh U'Matzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman atah l'hachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh U'kdoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha Selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el hakadosh.
A poem by Sylvia Ostertag. It is enough to listen to the silence. Silence comes to fetch us where we have just been with our thoughts and our feelings. It's enough to listen to the silence. Silence brings us to where we are now, right here, into this room, to this place, this day. It is enough to listen to the silence. Silence embraces what wants to become. Whatever this day brings us is held, and always has been, in this silence now. It is enough to listen to the silence. We take these moments of silence to listen to the silence, to pray the words either on your heart, in the book, or just appreciating a rare moment of silence in the midst of a busy week. And when you feel ready, you may be seated.
shalom, shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel. Ve'inu amen. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Amen. Oh, say shalom, shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel.
As we opened up and spoke about the word and the ways that we hold so many complex feelings, in our preparation for our Misha Berach prayer, we hold a lot of ands. We hold both the world and individuals that we know. We're able to hold big feelings and those small ones. We're able to pray for multiple types of people. We're able to pray for the innocent Palestinians and for the healing of the country of Israel. We're able to pray and. And this is so important to hold so many. Our Misha Berach prayer asked for healing, asked for refuah shlema, a full and complete healing. If there are those who you're thinking of who are in need of healing, I invite you to share their name aloud as we pass around the room. Our prayer for Misha Berach, our prayer for healing, can be found on page 371 in the middle of the page.
Misha Berach Avotenu Kor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Misha Berach Imotenu Kor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
As we recognize throughout Torah the lives and length of the days of our ancestors, we acknowledge how many years they lived, but never in Torah do we hear about them having a birthday. The only birthday we actually get in all of Torah is Pharaoh. towards the end of Genesis, we find out that it was Pharaoh's birthday, one of the days that Joseph was thrown in jail. But, you know, it is beyond just Pharaoh who celebrates birthdays. We all get to celebrate birthdays. My transition there was not going so well, but I'm just going to go with it.
That worked. That part worked.
Yeah, I know, right? That worked. And it's like when people on SNL, they break.
When they name
it's
it,
so much funnier.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, here on our third Shabbat of the month, we always celebrate our birthday blessings. So if you have a birthday in the month of November, come on up to the Bima so we can celebrate you. Shell, I have a feeling you're one of them, yeah. 1 out of 12 of you have a birthday. It's not just the Reesers.
Shell, come over here.
Over here.
Now, Stacy, are you accompanying him?
Yay.
So he's 9 days apart. Oh my God, that's so awesome. I know you wanted to come up again, so you're welcome.
So,
Hi, oh my God.
I know.
Awesome. Yes.
Hannah snuck up.
Come on up.
Shabbat shalom. Happy birthday. All right, so tell us what day of November your birthday is on.
The 15th.
15th?
The 10th.
First. 12th.
The 12th. So we've already celebrated all of your birthdays already. Yeah. Well, you get to go round 2 here by celebrating with us. And we get to offer you a blessing of Shechianu, saying thank you for enabling us to reach this most holy day, your birthday.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehachianu v'kiyamanu v'higyanu b'zman hazeh.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. It's a little jazzy. It's a little
I just have to say what a great joy it is to be able to sit in the community and to be led in the service so beautifully by our Shlichei Tzibur, by our service leaders. And even, I have to say, even more than that, being able to sit in the back and to be sitting with Patrick Graney Dolan, who is our Bar Mitzvah, B'nai Mitzvah associate, but also has just this beautiful voice. And I'll say this beautiful spirit that when he sings, being able to pray next to him. Patrick, so beautiful. Thank you so much. What a true, true gift you are to our community in so many ways, including this. Thanks for praying with us tonight. And Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'll also say that before I had so much to say, I thought I was going to be able to work into this sermon that I'm about to share with you, how you could use things to be able to talk about difficult things or decide not to talk about difficult things around a Thanksgiving table. But I never got there because I had too many other things to say. So we'll see if this feels like an invitation for how we might do this. And so with that, I'll say Shabbat Shalom. And you can hear this little beautiful playing over here from Minkyu, Ozi V'Zimrat Yah. God is my strength and my song. And when I feel my own strength wavering and my heart broken, I personally turn to God and I pour out my soul with all of my questions and with all of my struggles. And I often find that my soul feels at least a bit renewed. And I remember the first time that I traveled to DC for a March for Israel. It was in 2002. I won't ask if any of you were there, but if you were, you'll give me just like a silent, like, yes, I was there. It was, at the time, I was a third-year rabbinical student, and 3 years before that, I had spent the year in Jerusalem, and I left in June 2000, and that September, the Second Intifada began. And during that first year of the Second Intifada, my alarm clock that went off every morning at 7 a.m. was set to NPR. Anybody else do that? It's a blessing and a curse, right? Some days I could hardly lift my head off the pillow listening to the news of the places I had been and the people whom I knew, gone in a terrible instant. So I began to get up right before my alarm would go off, and I would get up with this physical dread. Some days I turned the alarm off before it would go off, fearing that I couldn't bear what I might hear. And some days I turned it on even before it went off, desperately wanting to know what happened while I was sleeping. I worried about my Jewish Israeli friends. I worried about my Muslim and Christian Arab friends. I worried about Palestinians whom I didn't know personally, but about whom I was worried they would become wrongly associated with terrorists. And I worried that the process toward peace would become more distant, or God forbid, non-existent. By April 2002, the American Jewish community decided to march in Washington, D.C. to show support for Israel. And I knew I wanted to be there. I wanted to be counted among the lovers of Israel, both Am Yisrael, the people of Israel, and Medinat Yisrael, the state of Israel. But I was concerned that the rhetoric that would be coming from the stage or even from the crowd might be dehumanizing toward Arabs in Israel specifically and in the Middle East more generally. So a large group of rabbinical students from many walks of Jewish life, Reform, Conservative, Orthodox, and Reconstructionist, well, we made our own signs and traveled to DC for that historic march. And our signs looked something like this. Of course, these are not from the march in 2002, but the march 2 decades later, the March for Israel held in DC this past Tuesday. And you'll notice one of Temple Sholom's favorite sons, you'll have to guess which one, is holding the Israeli flag that has Shalom at its center. I'll assume he meant Sholom. So sunny and warm, the National Mall saw hundreds of thousands of Jews from different backgrounds and some allies among them, with a level of organization that was very different from the scattershot El Al lines. Special space was reserved for college students, wide-ranging speakers, though I would have been happy if one had been left off that dais. There was a peace block organized by Partners for Progressive Israel, and even porta potties were in convenient locations. Well organized. I have no idea how they planned for the weather. It was just perfect, the weather was. And some of you joined me. Many of you wished me a safe journey. And some of you, with incredible thoughtfulness, let me know why you would not attend. Some of you understood that your bodies were not up for the round-trip bus ride or car trip or flight coupled with hours of walking and standing. Physically, it just wasn't in the cards. And some of you worried about your safety, from anxiety about the vehemence of counter-protesters to Fear that someone could take that opportunity to level a violent catastrophe on the Jewish people. Well, for some of you, going to DC at this time for this reason felt too unsafe. For others of you, Israel is just not your issue or interest, not worth schlepping out to DC for. You told me I should go to the March for Israel, as my bubby would say, enjoy it in good health. But for you, for a long time, you have felt disconnected from Israel, mostly because of their government. So you have other things in the Jewish community that take your time and interest. And for still others of you, mainly college students with whom I've spoken, but not only them, you cannot find a way to stand up at a March for Israel and put yourself in a setting where nuance is not heard, where no one would be praying actively for the violence to stop, and no one, you thought, would be sharing their vision for Israel and a Palestinian state. And while I heard that and resonate with a lot of what each of you shared, I know that we disagree with some of the finer points. And I think that that's what it means to be in a deeply thoughtful, open-eyed, searching, and kind-hearted community. We seek out ways to be helpful in the hardest situations facing the Jewish people, and we do so in ways that are compelled by what our hearts and what our tradition tells us. We model Rebecca, who, when pained by the twins in her womb, screamed out, Im Kain, lama ze anochi. If it's going to be like this, why do I exist? V'telech lidrosh et Adonai. But then she went to seek out God and ask God a lot of questions. We ask why we need to live in a painful world, in a troubled time. In a time like this, why do we exist as Jews? And are we a Jewish people? And then we go and seek out God and seek out each other and ask a whole lot of questions. V'telech lidrosh. And for me in this time, that means that I go to Israel and I go to DC to march for Israel. There have been times in my life, in the very recent past, when I physically could not travel so easily. I was grateful when others would go and carry my heart and my questions with them, along with my love. Sometimes we show up, and when we physically cannot, it's nice to know that someone is showing up with a community of Sholem, with all of its questions and complexities for us and with us. So for all of you who did not go to the march in DC because you physically could not, please know that I felt you there with me and you were counted. And I will not minimize it. Safety is a concern for Jews the world over right now. I work with someone who has changed their name on their Uber app so it will sound less Jewish. I've heard from a mom who has begged her daughter, who works in retail downtown, to tuck her Jewish star pendant under her shirt. I know that some took down their mezuzahs on Halloween, and I understand that fear. And I don't want you to bear the burden of carrying shame with that fear. These are personal decisions. For me, I often feel safer in overtly Jewish spaces like Temple Sholem and the March in DC, because I recognize that there are so many people who are committed to protecting us. And so we'll tell our entire security team, Don, please take this with a whole lot of love and appreciation. We are deeply grateful. I flew El Al to Israel a few weeks ago, and I felt a different kind of safety. For the first time, even their recorded message was empathetic. How strange to hear a recorded voice say, "We understand that this is a stressful time. El Al is here for you." For those of you who have never flown El Al, trust me, empathy is not something that you often feel. The safety that I feel in going to Israel is an emotional safety, not because I am going to be with like-minded people. It's not just two Jews, 3 opinions, 2 Israelis, 4 opinions. But I feel a certain emotional safety in the comfort that I am bringing a deep connection from our Jewish community in America to the other half of the Jewish people, the Jews who live in Israel. And with that, I bring our concerns for them. And on this recent trip especially, I heard their concerns for us. I grew up with a different vision of what the state of Israel would be in 2023. Not a different dream, but a different practical vision. From my first trip in Israel in 1994, I envisioned not only coexistence, but peace. And while September 2000 shifted that vision to coexistence as a step toward peace, I take to heart the words of Theodor Herzl himself, "Im tirtzu ein zo agada," if you will it, it is no dream. And I invest in this dream by building relationships with people who share my vision of Israel, one that is safe and recognize and helps build a reality for the safety and sovereignty of Palestinians as well. And like the resolve I have heard from so many friends in Israel, I will not let October 7th change that. For me, I feel deeply connected to Am Yisrael here, throughout the world, and in Medinat Yisrael. When I go to Israel, I am reminded that I am part of a people that is bigger than American Jewry, and I am reminded that Israel and Israelis are so much bigger and better than any government. Since October 7th, the people who protested the government's judicial reform have now begun to do most of the relief work in the country. And the decisions being made in this impossible war have now been given to Yoav Gallant and Benny Gantz, people whom I trust. And I call it an impossible war because of Israel's onerous moral obligations, doing everything possible to bring the hostages home, destroy the tunnels that enable more terror, and dismantling Hamas. That is a moral imperative. Doing it in a way that protects Palestinian civilians' lives and welfare is also a moral imperative. An impossible war. And I say impossible because of the innocent Palestinians caught in the crossfire, buried under rubble, and unsafe where they go. Impossible because Israel faces an enemy in Hamas that purposely embeds itself among civilians as a terror tactic. Impossible because of the difficulty in both bringing the hostages home and dismantling Hamas. Yesterday, the IDF announced they had found near Gaza's Shifa hospital that sits over a Hamas command center the bodies of 19-year-old hostage Noam Marciano and 65-year-old Yehudit Weiss, a hostage from Kibbutz Be'eri. Nearby, they found weapons belonging to the terrorists, and it's assumed that the terrorists guarding them killed them before fleeing the IDF. Im kain lama ze anochi. If it's going to be like this, why do we exist? During this impossible war, before it and after it, telech lidrosh et Adonai. I seek out Adonai. I seek out God, asking all kinds of questions and begging and building for peace. Oziv azimrat Yah. God is my strength and my song. With God's help, we will build a world together, the world we envision, a world of coexistence, a world of safety, a world of peace.
יישר כוח, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi. There are just a few announcements.
May I do the first one?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
got excited.
please do.
Monday meal.
We don't need any extra volunteers at the moment, though.
No.
Okay.
It's not for volunteers.
Great.
This Monday meal, I just want to say that we are blessed to have our Grateful klezmer band, our volunteer klezmer band. It's going to be playing for Monday meal. So it's not like a come to Monday meal to see them perform, but I just want you to know that they will be surrounded by all of us and musicians, and it will be a very special Monday meal.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. And thank you for everyone who has volunteered already. Somehow we got to, not somehow, of course this community got to the number that we need for the number of volunteers we need for Monday. On Monday at 7 p.m. online is our Adult Education Monday Film Night with Cliff Scott Rudnick. Join other adult learners to watch and discuss Labyrinth of Lies. It looks to be a really interesting movie, and we can watch that online with fellow congregants. And then finally, we ask you to volunteer with the Chesed Circle, the Kindness Circle, to help show appreciation via baked goods. What better way to show appreciation? We're showing appreciation to our Temple Shalom security and facilities staff, not with meals, but with baked goodies, either those homemade or store-bought. Deliveries, enough for about 10 people, will be made on Friday afternoons between 3 and 4. We're fortunate to have a great staff dedicated to the safety and those who are maintaining our beautiful building. So we please ask you to consider volunteering to deliver goods. For more information on any of those things, find any of your clergy, or Patrick, who is in the back, can help you with that as well. And to let you know, two other things, that the Temple Sholem offices are going to be closed on Wednesday and Thursday of next week in observance of Thanksgiving. And then finally, to join us for Oneg, which is a time to continue schmoozing. I believe we're in Lakeshore Lobby, but
Yes,
we're in
we
Lakeshore
are.
Lobby.
We are. Thank you,
So
Patrick.
right after services, we'll head back through those doors for some snacks and some schmoozing. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I'll also say to the Weber and Reeser families, Mazel Tov. I'm so excited Shale, tonight, I feel like for both of us, we were just rehearsing for tomorrow, and I can hardly wait to be with you and your family as you are our service leader. What an incredible bar mitzvah. We're very, very excited. And also say, when we ask ourselves, why do we exist? Well, we exist to bring more of the love that we have and share in this community into the world. And we realize that to do that well, we have to take certain responsibilities to then bring it out into the world to see the ways in which we want it created. With that in mind, we turn to page 586. Oh, this is also why we exist. To have two things at once. One is to be able to know that tomorrow we're going to learn how to mindfully age together. So that's going to be at what time? 1 o'clock. And is it in person? Oh, it's hybrid. So it's both in person, or you could join us online. You can find out more of the details online at our website at sholemchicago.org. So two things at once, also to realize that this is all a dialogue, that we really love to be able to ponder big things together and to hear a little bit in the sanctuary and then to talk a whole lot outside of the sanctuary in the Oneg and beyond. So I look forward to that as well. Now, for real, we're going to turn to page 586, unless there's anybody else who has any announcements. And we'll...
I mean, my announcement is that if you really want to stay with us, we're going to go directly from the bottom of 586 to the bottom of 591. It just breaks my heart when I see you all flipping through the pages trying to find out where we are. Would you please rise? עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. There is no way to have watched the news this week. There is no way to, if we have known people in Gaza, and if we have not, to not feel the pain and to not be consumed with worry with what has happened there, what is happening there, and concerned for all those who have lost their lives this week there. And so we think about them, and we think about their families who are mourning. We also found out this week that Emily Hand, who had been presumed murdered in October 7th massacre, was declared alive and held by Hamas. This girl whose British-born father had expressed joy weeks ago at hearing about his daughter's death, that she was not held in captivity. He was actually more concerned about her suffering then. Today, Emily turned 9 years old, in captivity and without her father. We also mourned the loss this week as we learned of the death of 74-year-old Vivian Silver, who was identified 38 days after she was murdered on October 7th. Vivian was a Canadian-born educator and peace activist who lived in Be'eri. She was a founder of Ajik Nisped, Arab Jewish Center for Empowerment, Equality, and Cooperation, at the Negev Institute for Strategies of Peace and Economic Development. That's an Arab Jewish organization for social change that was established in the Negev in 2000. And that organization just received funding from JUF's Israel Emergency Fund just 2 weeks ago. Vivian was a founder, if those of you know this organization, called Women Wage Peace, and was active in other organizations empowering women and promoting coexistence. She chose to live near Gaza so she could be able to help to create a better world, and she would often drive Gaza patients from the Gaza border to hospitals where they needed treatment. And so we remember Vivian. And we think of the ways in which Vivian, in these moments, would not only pray for peace, but would work for peace. How she would mourn all the Palestinian civilians who died, and would encourage us to do the same, even as we mourn the Israelis who have died this week. And so, in our congregational community, we're remembering those who recently passed from this earth. Stanley Gross, Yolanda Saul, and Henry Rose. We also mark the yard site on this Shabbat of Carrie Bade, Joan Bludder, Clara Brown, Louis Batita, Eva Charkowski, Morris Dansker, Gordon DeCook, Morris Fisher, Bella Fox, Kim Geller, Doris Goldberg, Marvin Gordon, Abdul Rahman Peter Kassig, Jules Katz, Rita Kaywell, Lonnie Klein, Norman Cobert, Helen Lasser, Marge Levine, Joan Snyder Lewison, Robert London, Morris Lustig, Mira Manko, Robert L. Meyer, Luis Navarrete, Rebecca Neuschatz, Ida Oring Lessman, Rabbi Jacob J. Pedikowski, PhD, Carol C. Postelneck, Julius Rabai, Saul Reifler, Marvin Rosenblum, Dr. Leslie Rudoy, Dr. Louis Sampson, Richard Samuels, Danny Manas Schall, Phoenix Schmidt, Dane Schulman, Dolores Sherman, Isabel Siegel, Nahershala Naomi Solomons, Reuben Starr, Rose Stein, Jacob DeCath, Herbert Czar, and Isabel Zimmerman. If you are remembering others on this Shabbat, I invite you to please share their names. Kaddish Yatom is on page 598. Please rise.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah, v'almad yivrach chirutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon, v'chayeh d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agalau v'zman karim v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shmei rabah mevarach leolam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnosei, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shemei d'kurusha, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, ta'amiran v'yalma v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael,
v'imru. Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, v'yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, v'yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, imru. 647, if you need it, if you want it, but you also could just hum along, anything. Oh, ziva zimratya, vayehi lishua, zimratya, vayehi lishua. Oh, ziva zimratya, vayehi lishua. Oh, ziva zimratya, vayehi lishua. Listen to each other. Zimratya, vayehi lishua. Oh, zimratya, vayehi lishua.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Happy Thanksgiving.